Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayleigh in case you didn't know that, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all of my palettes that I've collected over the years. And yes, that includes my very first palettes that I've ever started to collect. So yeah, I think we're just gonna jump right into it. So I have included both palettes from my kit as well as my personal kit. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump in. So this is the first palette that I'm going to show you. This is actually my most recent palette, and I bought this off a lady on Facebook. So basically how this palette works is you slide the lid off and it's magnetized, so it's really handy. And then you can kind of just store all of your eyeshadows. So the lady that I bought this off was kind enough to gift me 5 of these eyeshadows. So yeah, super stoked. I have not actually tried any of the eyeshadows. I literally received this palette like the other day. So yeah, super stoked with that and excited to use it. Next up is my Makeup Revolution Soph X highlighter palette. I am obsessed with this palette. I love using them, especially for creative looks. These like pink and purple shades are absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I actually got this for my birthday from my boyfriend. So yeah. Up next we have my Makeup Revolution blush palette. This blush palette is amazing. I love using it so much. It gives my face such a dewy look. And yeah, I actually got this for my birthday as well. Next up, we have one of my absolute favorites at the moment. This is my Makeup Revolution Foil Frenzy palette. These eyeshadows are so buttery. They're so beautiful. I love it so much. So yeah. Next up, I have another Makeup Revolution product. This is my Soph X Extra Spice palette. And as you can see, I've been absolutely loving this palette. It is my favorite palette so far, and yeah, I use it every single day. Next up, I have my Makeup Revolution Roxy palette. As you can see, I've really also been loving this palette. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with this palette though, so some days I love it, some days I hate it, so yeah. Next up, I have my Makeup Revolution Soph X palette, and this is one of my more recent palettes, and I'm still yet to really tuck into it, but I absolutely love all the shades. Every single time I have used it, I have absolutely loved it. I don't think I've found one single shade, not that I've used many at the moment, that I hate. Yeah, I just really love this palette for an everyday use. Next up is my Rebel or Febble palette. I don't really know which name it is, but yeah, I really like this palette, but I'm trying to get rid of it because I just don't seem to reach for it that often. I do like these top 4 shades, but the rest are pretty average. Next up, I have this Beauty Treats palette. This is one of my very first palettes I ever got, and it is absolutely horrendous. Yeah, as you can see, I've only really used like these 3 colors and a little bit of the pink, but the rest are just really horrible. So I don't even reach for this, I don't use it, it's horrible. Next up, I have another Makeup Revolution product. This is my blush palette. This one is a lot smaller than the other blush palette that I have, so I really like it because it's compact and the colors are so beautiful as well. Next up, I have my NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette, and this is in my Smoky and Highlight shade. I really love this palette. It is so beautiful for matric dancers, so I keep it in my kit makeup. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. I highly recommend. Next up, I have another NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette, and this is in the Cool Tone shade, and this is also absolutely stunning. That is why it's in my kit. Next, I have NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette in the Warm Tones. I have absolutely loved this palette. I've actually ended up putting it in my kit makeup. It was my personal kit, but I have turned it into my kit makeup because I just don't seem to reach for it anymore, which is quite sad, but yeah, the palette is amazing and I love it so much. Next up, we have my Catrice Cosmetics Professional Makeup Techniques Face Palette. And I used to use this palette like every single makeup video and every single tutorial because it was the only face palette that I had that had a contour and a blush. So yeah, I used to love this palette so much. I just don't seem to reach for it, which is very sad because I remember when I received this, I was so excited for it. So yeah, I really do need to use this palette again. Next, we have this highlighter palette by Dysfunction Cosmetics. And I actually won this palette, and I'm so grateful I did because how beautiful is that? It is so stunning. I love the packaging, and it's just beautiful all around. Next, I have this 1998 Dysfunction Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. This is also a palette I won in the same competition. And oh my word, I am obsessed. This may be my new favorite palette. It is so stunning. I love all of the eyeshadows and they just, oh, they're so beautiful. Next up, I have a very, very old palette. This is the Make Up Make Out Factory palette. Yeah, it was absolutely destroyed. I used to use this palette literally all the time, and yeah, then I realized that the product isn't actually that great, so I don't use it anymore, unfortunately. Next up, I have my Essence Create and Transform My Wonder Eye palette, and I hate this palette. This is the only palette from Essence that I absolutely hate. I don't like the consistencies. I don't like the colors. I don't know what it is. I just really don't like this palette. Next up, I have a palette that's in my kit, and this is my Morphe DD highlighter palette. I'm obsessed. These colors are so beautiful, especially all of these gold and bronze tones at the bottom here. They are stunning on every type of skin tone. So yeah, really, really stoked with this highlighter palette. Next, I have my Nancy Morphe palette, and this is my personal kit, so it has been absolutely destroyed. I did buy the second hand off of one of my friends, but yeah, I'm super stoked with it. Next, I have this Essence lip palette. It has really, really nice shades. I just don't use it enough. Next, I have my Catrice The Fresh Nude eyeshadow palette. I love this palette. It is so nice when I'm traveling and when I'm going on holiday and I don't want to put on a huge amount of makeup. It is so natural, so beautiful, and it actually stays on the whole entire day. Next, I have my Catrice The Nude Blossom eyeshadow palette. I also really, really like this palette. This shade here is absolutely insane, and yeah. Next, I have my Catrice The Ultimate Chrome eyeshadow palette. I'm not a huge fan of this because it is all shimmer, so it's a little bit difficult to carry around just a shimmer palette like this. If there were a few mattes, then maybe it would have been worth it, but I just don't reach for it. Next, I have a palette from my kit, and this is my color palette. I know that this palette is in desperate need of some cleaning, but this palette works really well and is really affordable considering how cheap the eyeshadow palettes are and how great quality they are. Next, I have another Creative Glamour eyeshadow palette. This also needs a clean. But yeah, these eyeshadows are absolutely beautiful. I love using them for bridal and as well as matric dances. Next, I have my Creative Glamour Natural palette, also from my kit. And you can tell which shades are my favorite, and yeah, I just really, really like this palette. Next, this palette also needs a clean, but it is my kit makeup, and this is my Switch Beauty Bubble Blush palette. I love this palette. It is so dewy, so creamy, so beautiful, and so natural. It looks amazing for bridal or for matric dancers. So yeah, if I could recommend any palette, it would be this one, because this palette is my holy grail. Next up, I have my Essence Kissed by the Moon eyeshadow palette. I don't like this palette. I'm gonna be completely honest. I absolutely hate this palette. I've used it like maybe once or twice, but the shades are just not worth it, and I don't find myself ever reaching for it or ever wanting to use it. So I was trying to sell it, but it seems that a lot of people don't like this palette either, so yeah. Next, I have my collection of my Essence All About eyeshadow palettes. I absolutely love these palettes. This is where my collection started. I absolutely loved using these palettes. I just found that the quality was not that great and I needed to up my game. So I stopped using them and now I have way more better palettes. But if you are looking for some way to start with collecting palettes, then this would definitely be my go-to, or what my suggestion would be, because they're really affordable and they work well. Next up, I have my Essence Quattro eyeshadow palette. I don't actually know why I have this palette, but I do use the shade when I'm creating freckles on my face. But other than that, like, I don't know why I have this. Next, I have my Creative Glamour lip palette, and I really need to get a new lip palette because yeah, I found the shades are alright, but I could do so much better with a different palette. So yeah, but that is my lipstick palette, I guess. finally, we have my Kryolan foundation palette. This is by far the best foundation you will ever use. I'm joking, but this is literally the best foundation that I use on my clients. I find it works amazing. As long as you know how to apply it to your skin, then it'll do wonders for you. So really, really recommend this palette if you are a makeup artist. If you're not a makeup artist, then probably just get your shade. But yeah, it really, really does work. And that is all of my makeup palettes, ladies and gentlemen. It took us a while, but we got there in the end. I know that for a lot of you, this is a lot of palettes, and for some of you, this is not that many palettes, and you may have way, way more than me, but let's all be kind to ourselves. This is just my collection that I have, and I wanted to show you guys. So yeah, let me know if you have any of these palettes, if you want to get any of these palettes, or if you don't like any of these palettes in the comments, and we can have a little conversation down below. But other than that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys next week with an all new video. Bye guys.